teaching the MIL curriculum. We're talking about the MIL itself, what it contains. We're talking about the competencies the learners and educators must have. We talk about the uses, the skills, the attitude, the objective, the things that they must have. Talk about those things so much. Now, how do you now teach? How do you not teach using how do you teach the MIL curriculum? Well, there are so many methods you can apply. But first and foremost, the background and rationale need to be well established. When we introduce any topic, like I said, there are so many modules about these topics. You can find them in that book. So many modules, so many skills, so many learning outcomes, so many objectives. But any topic you take to teach, you must set the background. What is the rationale for this topic? What do I want to impart to the students? Why am I teaching this topic? What is the essence? What skills and attitude do I want to impart with this teaching? What do I want people to learn? So those needs to be clear. They need to be whether they are using, whether you are teaching male and the learners are familiar with conventional or social media, or whatever media. You must let them know that the media are ineffective and that the direction which you are taking must be clear from beginning. Then the key topics. There are so many key topics like I put there, like you see in your something. There are so many key topics, and then you find a lot of them. And then when you are teaching this topic, also when you are so you plan for a training topic. What topic am I bringing in? Some salient points that can guide the teaching process must also be there. Then you provide a training session plan that will give a format of activities and resources that must guide the classroom. What are the resources? You must give them the resources, you must give them the planning, the method, the format you want to use, and then what are those things you want to use to achieve the learning objectives must be clear. Then you go to the learning objectives, and then what are the key goals of the modules? There are different modules, like I told you. What are the key goals of those modules for educators and then the learners in general? So they must also identify the competencies in that module. I think the knowledge, the skill. Please don't forget that. What is the knowledge they want to acquire? What are the skills they want to acquire? What is the attitude they must have? What are the values they must exhibit? Those four things must be clear from whatever the learning objective you are putting. So at the end of learning objective, you must put it there. What are the knowledge you must acquire from these things, from this module, from this topic? What are the skills after this training? What are the skills that you must have gotten? What are the attitude you must exhibit? What are the values? All these things must be part of it. And then you can now go to pedagogical approaches now and samples. But let me say this first, that in teaching MIL, you might need to know the power knowledge of your students of MIL. Never assume that they don't know. That may be wrong. They might even know more than you teachers. Actually, the essence is to guide, is to mentor them. Now, it's to guide the classroom. Now, you ask them, what do you understand about MIL? What have you been doing about MIL? So you must establish that knowledge and then look at the gaps in learning that need to be filled. After you have seen, like I asked a question at the beginning, define MIL, and I said it was very difficult. Now, what is MIL? And I will repeat here again. Please, no matter the complexity of the definition, things that you should stick in your head is that it's a set of interrelated competencies that enables people's ability to engage. That one is general. And what do you mean by engaging? Critically thinking and clicking wisely all form of informations, irrespective of the platforms. So you must know how far they've gone. You must establish a gap in the knowledge. After you establish what you need to fill and how you intend to use the learning outcome to fill those gaps, When after that must have been done, then you go forward to probably invite a friend or group, or you can group them and let them talk about different types of media, or you can bring media to classroom, you can invite people to classroom, make it engaging, and make them have the feel, let them be part of it. And then after the whole thing, you must be able to evaluate their knowledge. You have set up the knowledge, the understanding at first, you have seen the knowledge gaps, and then you have seen the learning outcomes, and then after you have exposed them now based on what you feel the gap of, or you are reinforcing their knowledge, and after that now you now ask them exactly evaluate their knowledge. What have you gotten from this class? What do you actually know that you don't know before, or what you now know that now you know better? All those things must be done. So let's now go to the pedagogy. I'll soon round up. And so when we come to the pedagogical approaches and sample activities, educators must know that they also must acquire those skills, those pedagogical skills, to teach media and information literacy to students. They must have the ability to teach MIL from different perspectives. And again, I will reinforce those perspectives. There are three perspectives. You can teach MIL from the perspective of good governance. You can teach MIL from the perspective of sustainable development. You can teach MIL from the perspective of intercultural dialogue. Or you can teach them from those three perspectives. So, but you must have the skills, the pedagogical skills to teach it. So are you approaching the teaching for sustainable development goal? Are you approaching it from intercultural dialogue or from good governance? And both three of them are even integrated together. So those perspectives must be right. Then you see this perspective if you go to the curriculum, page 37 to 41. You see this perspective. I talk about these three perspectives, whether intercultural dialogue, whether you are pushing it from SDGs or from good governance. You go to page 37 to 41, you see all these things there. Now, pedagogical framework. There are framework you have to look at. Their framework. Now, this, it enables us to diversify the learning outcomes and the way you go about teaching all these things. Like I said, you must acquire these pedagogical skills. You have to acquire it. Do you want to go by constructive learning? You construct the message, let them be part of it, and then eventually you deliver it for them. Or transformative learning. Like we did one in Nigeria, Kesito Go to School. It's a form of media information literacy booklet for young people. And we see what Kesito, is a student, what he was facing hate speech in school. He was a victim of hate speech. And then somebody now came in and tried to, educate them why they should not use such kind of words, such kind of hate words, and what has happened that with transformative learning. You can also go by collaborative approach. This is between educators and students now. And like I said, it's more of engaging. Let them collaborate with you. Let them, the examples drawn by them, and you also illustrate it with them, and then everybody try to come to a mutual understanding. A mutual, that is key, dialogue, mutual understanding. Then integrative approach. You can make connections across the curriculum. Like I said, I teach photo editing. I try to see how they use, how media information literacy comes in not distorting the pictures and the content. I teach media ethics. I talk about different ethics about objectivity and subjectivity, and I talk about how media is not neutral. You see, so there are so many. It can be integrative approach using different topics in different curriculum to emphasize what you want to do. It can be humanistic approach to learning, emulating the role model, and this is where you comes in as the educator, because they are watching you, all your moves in the class, the kind of examples you draw from, how the kind of examples you typify, your body language, your communication ability, and how you engage them, how you free them, how you learn to express themselves, and the kind of illustrations you use, do you in the classroom, do you stereotype? do you play ethnic, all those things, or maybe they are colored people, or you are white, or you are other people are colored. So they look at all those things. They want to see whether there's no racism in the classroom. So once you are able to demonstrate those competencies very well, then they see you as a role model and they follow you. And this is it's like learning by examples. Then you have personalized and customized learning. There's addressing the individual needs of students, where everybody cannot learn in the same pace. So you can now say, okay, you after giving them general learning, adapt it to them, let them also see how they can personalize those things for themselves. And then to round it up now, pedagogical approaches. This is a method now. I've given you the approaches you can use. I've talked about framework. Please don't mix up the framework with approaches, with methods. That's three different things. I've explained to you the approaches, which I say is three: the SDGs, intercultural dialogue, and the good governance. That is pedagogical approaches. I've talked about pedagogical framework, which will be constructive learning, transformative learning, collaborative approach, integrative approach, humanistic approach, or personalized or custom learning approach. Now, the method, which is pedagogical methodologies. And this is where you have the issues, the issue learning, the issue inquiry learning. People inquire and then, they ask questions. Case studies, you can bring case studies from different regions, from different sides of the world, from whatever happened in your system. It can be, for instance, Nigeria election is going on right now, and already I've opened a platform where I call it Countdown to Elections, where I'm harvesting all the fake news and all the way it has been trashed out, and and this could be a case study for me, and I'm already assessing that already. It could be cooperative learning, that is engagement between students and everybody is learning. It could be textual analysis. I did it for the military when I teach them, strategic communication, and I brought analysis of species and what those species meant, what they are meant to convey, how they are to change scenarios. It could be textual analysis. It could be contextual analysis, bringing things from other areas and trying to validify those information. It could be translations, it could be stimulations, it could be production. Yeah, they can produce. Yeah, people can go out, the student can go out and generate and become generator content and produce those content for themselves and then bring to the classroom and discuss it. And it could be critical inquiry. Yeah, critical thinking. I teach a course on critical thinking in my university, and that class is always on fire. People talk, people express themselves, there's argument everywhere. I have to moderate the class, you see, but it's always exciting, very, very exciting class. You see, it could also be a dialectical method or inquiry. So in all this, you can have access to all this, but let me say this for the last, before I round up, is that teachers may want to look at all the applications of some of these pedagogical methods or approaches as learning examples, but there are learning examples in the book. You go to the book, you see a lot of learning examples that are highlighted in some samples in the modules activities, but let me warn, they're just guides. They're just guides. So the educator may choose other effective approaches. All these approaches we're giving to you, you can combine them, you can use some of them, but really they're just guides. You can decide to do what you want to do with them. So you can also explore topics for further consideration, give them resources and references, and then allow them to evaluate, like I said, but check each references that are stated. They are in the curriculum. They are in our curriculum. We have a lot of references there. You see a lot of references after each module. Those references are validated references. You can go through them, and then this will help you to establish your credibility as a careful and well-prepared educators. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your attention. Like I said, it's not easy to engage people for these long hours, and I appreciate your resilience And I don't know, a male MI to me is a passion. It's my calling. Let me call it that way. It's just me. You see, I love it so much. I could have seen it. That's the way that you can promote tolerance, you can promote equity, you can promote justice. I've seen it applicable in SDA, and I've seen that it's a way to actually teach curriculum. It's a way to bring about people from to youngsters who can be empowered, who can engage, who can self-learn, who can to broaden their mind, enlighten their scopes, so they can see the world not from myopic way of thinking, but from a well-broadened view. I don't see anybody passing through MIL and acquire those competencies and be a racist. I don't see anybody passing through MIL and that person is short. He does not have intercultural dialogue, or is not sensitive to people's opinions, or we don't want to express, we don't want other people to give themselves expressions. I see MIL as competency that we actually needed in the 21st century. And I just want to thank again the AFRIMI for bringing me in, and for Unesco for allowing this session to hold. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I wish you further learning platform as we go on. So if you have questions on this last one, you may wish to talk before, but now I've run it up. You may wish to say something. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry, it is up by mistake, but I want to thank the presenter. That was powerful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Suraj, and for all the participants who have engaged. It was quite illuminating. I think, I don't know if we have been following the chat, the exchanges in the chat. All right, but there's a wealth and source of information in the chat complementing all of what was being said by the presenters and facilitators. So, and then again, I also want to recognize the Secretary Generals and Deputy Secretary Generals for the National Commission for UNESCO, who are present here with us and have stayed for the entire session. It shows the level of commitment and importance that these countries are placing on media and information literacy. So again, just want to say that it was a very engaging session. I believe that this video will be a good resource for future schools who want to engage in adapting the MIL curricula. And I do hope that we will be able to extract some of the exchanges and dialogue in the chat and share them with you as additional resource as well. So thank you so much.